Today we're gonna make classic peach preserves. It's just 2 ingredients and it's easier than you might think. It tastes like you're biting into the freshest, juiciest peach of the season all year round. So the first of like 3 steps in peach preserves is peeling your peaches. So I've got about 20 peaches here, which is almost half of a bushel if you're like, you know, going to the farmer's market and you feel the need to use like jargon or something. And I am going to peel these with the peeler because these are a mix of kind of hard and also very, very ripe. So if you want more details on my 3 ways to peel peaches, you can watch that video up there. But we're just gonna like dart through it and then get to the actual fun stuff, yeah. So now that we've peeled our peaches, we're gonna slice them. I'm just gonna get them all on my cutting board. Do not be dismayed if your peaches are ugly, because it doesn't matter. They probably taste amazing. To keep all that juice that accumulated, maybe take out that one stray nit. So first get the peaches, you know, your peaches off the pit, like check and see if they're freestone, which means like they just kind of pop off the pit. These are just mooshing in my hand. So the answer is no. And without further ado, we're just going to slice them off the pit. Doesn't really matter. This isn't, you know, we're not going for like Michelin level nice skills here. We're just kind of cutting them off. Now that you've gracelessly cut all of your peaches off of their pit, we're gonna slice them. So we don't want like big slices, you know. Are you serious? So you don't want like big chunks, right? You want like nice slices. So we're gonna do slices like this, and then we're gonna go back and we're gonna cut, you know, kind of pieces like this. I would call this a medium chop. If you have a big jar, you might want, you know, bigger pieces, but I like them kind of this nice bite-sized piece where if you got that in like a bit of yogurt or, you know, whatever, on toast you don't have this like giant peach on there, but cut them the size you want to cut them. So, carry on. Peel with all of your peaches. Alright, we've chopped our peaches. Get them in a bowl. And also just put them directly in the pot that you're going to cook them in. Alright, so now we're going to combine the 2 ingredients that are in this recipe, peaches and sugar. Is that a lot of sugar? Yes. No one said peach preserves were healthy, so moving on. Get your peaches in the pot. Now in the recipe I have made notes for how to do this by volume or by weight, so, you know, got you covered. And then put your sugar in there. Yes, I know. Could you use less sugar? Sure. You might not have as thick of preserves. You know, the sugar does help kind of create that, you know, jelly in a way. It's not jelly, but it kind of helps create that texture around the peaches. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and put some, you know, zest in there or herbs if you want to go about that way. But we're just going to do straight peach preserves. Pop these on the stove. Whew. Basically, we're going to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to lower it and simmer it and let them gently cook. And it's going to take about 2 hours, so, you know, sit tight. So you see when it comes to a boil, I turned it down and we're just going to skim this foam off. We don't want any of this going into our final preserve, so we're just going to go ahead and kind of skim all of that off and make sure that we have nice, clear, beautiful preserves. Our preserves are done! How exciting is this? So, got my preserves here. So you're just going to cook this until the peaches are translucent. Most of them, some of them are going to be a little bit more, you know, a little darker than others. It really depends on the type of peach and also how ripe it was. And then I also just tested a bit in the freezer. So I put a bit on my plate here and then I popped this in the freezer for about 5 minutes. And then I tasted the peach to make sure it was soft. And then also that the juice was slightly thickened, right? But you're going to have extra juice. All right, so anyways, I've got my peaches here. You can strain this if you'd like a little bit before you put it into the jars. I don't have a funnel. I have a small apartment and I am not afraid to get a little messy here. So I'm just gonna kind of drain a little bit from the ladle. I do like to use a ladle to transfer it. I find it a lot easier. You can also like use a slotted spoon to kind of, you know, strain it even better if you find that maybe you got a little bit too liquid heavy in there. You want to fill it up to like the brim, like right before the top of the jar narrows. You don't want a ton of air gap. Now, if you overcook your peaches, then they're going to get tough. And nobody wants like chewy, tough peach preserves. You could also strain this into a different container, into a chinois or, you know, a slotted strainer, a regular strainer, and make this a little bit faster. And then kind of pour the juice in there. All right, no regrets. We are going to strain them properly, if you will, in the professional chef fashion. Careful not to splash yourself. It is very, very hot, okay? You also might want to use a sieve instead, like a standard kitchen sieve, because this is going to kind of basically get stuck. You can see very little is coming out, even though we know that there's a lot of juice in there, right? So, and that is because this is a very fine strainer. So I'm going to take my ladle and I'm going to gently, because I don't want to break my peaches, I'm going to kind of plunge it, and that's going to help my juice come out a little bit faster, right? It's crazy the amount of juice versus peach. Oh yeah, just you got to commit. Otherwise it's going to go down the back of the ladle and you know you're going to have yourself a mess. So just commit to the preserves in the jar, just boom. And we're just going to top off some of these later ones that had a lot of peach in them. We're going to top it off with the liquid, just really whoosh. And then we've got all this liquid left, which is going to make some fabulous sorbet. Now I'm going to wipe the edges of my jars, clean my countertops, and then we'll finish. Right, we're going to put our warm tops on and make sure that your jar is clean. Just go ahead and tighten those down. Aren't they lovely? And now you know how to make peach preserves. Super easy, just a little bit of process and planning, and you've got yourself jars and jars and jars of delicious peaches all year round. You can put it on ice cream as an easy dessert. You can put it in yogurt or on toast. Oh, the world is your oyster. You can use it as a filling for cakes or buttercream. Like, oh my gosh.